To learn to live the off-grid lifestyle and to be inspired to live your dreams, click subscribe so you don't miss anything. Click the bell notification. It's all free. So, once again, second time in a year, we've had a major food distributor or supplier or whatever you want to call them hit by ransomware. We just had another one, and I'm going to get into that. But I want to talk about for a minute what you can do to make sure that you don't suffer through these problems. I've discussed many times that you have to be self-sufficient. And as you know, I'm raising chickens, and we've just butchered 25 meat birds. We've got over a year of food stockpiled now. I keep saying stockpiled. I'm not stockpiling. We're actually eating it. It's just we've preserved the food that we've made, if you want to look at it that way. We raised chickens, we butchered them, and now we're preserving them so we can eat them. We've actually had several meals from it already. And that way, you're not prepping. And I think prepping just doesn't go far enough. But having your own constant food supply does go far enough. I made a video, but I haven't released it yet. This one's going to go before that video, where I showed you that we accidentally started growing sorghum. The chickens dropped some sorghum seeds out of their fancy scratch grain, and this grew. It's so easy to grow this stuff. So we're going to grow our sorghum and corn, and we'll be able to feed our chickens if something goes wrong. Then we get the eggs from the chickens. We've got 13 egg producing chickens, and we got one rooster. Well, we think we've got that many. There may be another rooster in there, we're not really sure, but we'll butcher him if he is. We get the eggs. Eggs have completely replaced lunches for us now. We can eat lunch every day with eggs. And then we have our chicken or beef or whatever it is that we've got canned up. I've been showing you how to can and preserve your food. Now, I know there's a lot of different ways to preserve your food, and if you trust the way you want to do it, then by all means you should do it the way you want. I just feel like canning is the safest method of preserving food, longest storage time. I've heard people say use a smoker, but when I really dug into researching smokers, there's this YouTube channel, very popular YouTube channel, and he does all these old type of things. One of the things was using a smoker to preserve your food, and right at the beginning of the video he even said, this does not meet any type of food safety standards. Preserving food, I want to make sure that if things do go bad, or even if they aren't bad, that I don't get sick from it. I want to have a very safe method, so that's why I chose canning. Now, you can dehydrate your food, but then you have to vacuum seal it. So if you don't want to pressure can, dehydrating your food, which takes a lot of electric for us, I guess you could do it over smoker, but then you could vacuum seal it into bags or even jars. We don't use the bags, we vacuum seal in jars only, but we don't dehydrate since we're canning. I just like the canning method. I'm very satisfied with it. Food preservation is critical. I told you the other day that we're buying the bag chicken. You can get a 10-pound bag of chicken for $5.90. Very cheap, but all of a sudden they just sold out. We got 2 stores that sell that. One of the stores is still out. The other one has a limited supply. The electric company. I never have to worry about electric. The other day I had some solar panel problems. I've got a video on that you haven't gotten either. And I was able to repair them. But as a backup, I still had the generator that I could run, still have electric. I was never out of electric. That being said, I don't even have to use that much electric. The only thing I really use my electric for is a tablet, 2 phones, a fan, and a refrigerator, which more and more we're getting away from that refrigerator all the time. I mean, we're going to go shopping here shortly in the next few days, but we haven't been shopping in over a month. We've been eating our canned foods. The freezer is empty. It's just running. It's actually running more now because it's empty than it has ever. So I'm hoping one of these days we can actually get away from the refrigerator and the freezer. And then of course you got heat. We saw last winter, Texas was pretty much shut down from an electrical outage from the winter storm. I can't even remember how many people perished from that. That was a terrible scenario. But with a little effort and self-sustaining, right now we have 10 years worth of heat through firewood, and we still got a bunch more that we still got to get split up over here. And my goal is to have 15 years, 1 quart a year. We got this little tiny house, and that way when I get to my retirement age, I don't have to worry about firewood or heat. You know, if I'm in my 60s or 70s, I got 15 years worth of firewood. Not only that, firewood prices have really went up recently, significantly, just like everything else. But I was surprised that firewood went up. You know, you get the guy, the backyard guy, cuts down a tree, he charges 75 bucks for a truckload. Well, now that 75 bucks has went into 125 or 150 bucks. You know, almost double the price in some places. So, valuable asset having firewood. I think we're in a cycle right now where it just all seems like, man, are we ever going to get through this stuff? I've been very satisfied with the way we've done everything here, and I don't ever have a worry in the world. I don't express this well enough. I know I don't. I'm very content. Is it a lot of work? You know, I get that all the time. Oh, it's just too much work. You can't do this all the time, and you're going to do it. It's better than having to go to an employer. I get to do it on my terms. You know, the most stressful thing I've had in the last couple of weeks, two things actually, was I had to trap raccoons and possums and relocate them. Oh man, that was stressful. And my solar panels had a problem. You know, that was kind of stressful. I was like, man, I hope I don't have to replace solar panels. I figured it out, wasn't a big deal. I was able to get them fixed. And like I said, I got a video coming on that. So, I mean, my stress level is very low. The other day, we picked so many green beans off our little test garden. We're gonna have a much bigger garden next year, that we were actually full. We made chicken soup and we had all these green beans, and I had 2 helpings of green beans, and it was just, I just could not believe how full I got from those green beans. So again, we're all self-sustaining and getting full off our foods. I'm not getting sick from the chicken that we're harvested and canned. Earlier this year, I'm not even going to try to remember the name, but we had a significant food supplier had a ransom attack against them. It was like $11 million in ransom that they had to pay. It really caused a lot of concern whether they were going to be able to keep the food supply up. And we see it all over the country. Some areas are really doing well, other areas are doing very poorly. My area, we seem to be okay on food supply. We don't seem to have a problem. But then my friend down in Texas is constantly sending me pictures of his grocery store, and they're always out of food. Completely, the meat, all the meat is gone. I try not to cause a lot of fear, but when news happens, I think that's not fear. That's, okay, this is just reality. This is what's happening. So recently, our president went to Russia, or talked to the Russia president or something, and said, okay, these are the list of infrastructure things your ransomware attackers can't hit. And it was a lot of infrastructure things, gasoline and hospitals, and I don't know, just a whole list of them. Well, apparently food supplies must not have been on that list, because just yesterday, and I'm going to explain all this, a company called Cooperative in Fort Dodge, Iowa. What they do is they somehow distribute, I'm not really sure all the facts to this, and I really tried to understand what they do, but somehow they distribute grains to farmers. So cows and chickens and pork is the big ones that they try to supply to. So if they get shut down, livestock could actually start perishing as a result of this. I could imagine chickens really suffering from this. It doesn't take a lot for a chicken to get stressed, a meat chicken, and you're just out of chicken meat. What it is this ransomware company has hit this new cooperative. Now, the new cooperative has 89 locations. They have like 226 employees throughout these 89 locations. The one in Fort Dodge is the largest organization. I guess it's their home base, with 50 employees. So we're not talking about a huge organization here. They make $424 million in sales every year. So if you break that throughout the organization, all 89 organizations, that comes up to like $4 million per year in sales. That's not talking about supplies and employee cost and all that. That's just in sales. So it's not a big, huge company. Attackers want $5.9 million. Now think about that. They want more money than what the one organization of theirs makes in a year. Now, of course, the news articles are really focusing on the company didn't do enough to protect itself. And I really have been dissatisfied with this. The government and news organizations are blaming the organizations themselves for being a victim of a crime. So what they're saying is they didn't really do well with password protection. A lot of the employees used a password, 1Password. They actually, I'm not going to say it because I don't want to put them at risk again, but they used 1Password and shared it through multiple people in the organization. That's what these small companies do. I mean, it's just not a big deal. Now, last time I reported on a food industry being attacked, somebody says, well, what do you need a computer for to process food? Well, if you know anything about the food industry, I do. I used to work as a consultant, and I would have to go to these laboratories who tested the food to make sure they don't have salmonella and E. coli, and they have to keep really tight records of all their food production. So these organizations are under huge government restrictions. They have no way of complying with government regulations if they continue business without it. So the government, I don't think, has any intentions of helping this organization. They got to come up with the money. During the negotiation between New Cooperative and the cyber attackers have a website that says they will not attack infrastructure. Well, during negotiations, New Cooperative said, we are critical infrastructure. And the cyber attacker says, no, we don't agree with you. So really, the cyber attackers are deciding what is critical infrastructure. But apparently this cyber attack could actually be worse than the cyber attack we had on our gas line there in North Carolina. From what the articles are saying, this one could be pretty serious because Iowa is a huge distributor of our food supply throughout this country. So I hope I can inspire you to really consider being self-sufficient when you're living your dream. Thanks for watching.